Hi, how is it going? Welcome to Code with Z. Today's problem is LeetCode number 20, valid parentheses. In this question, we're given a string called S, and this S contains these characters that we see here. So as you can see, an opening parenthesis, a closing parenthesis, an opening curly braces, a closing curly braces, an opening bracket, and a closing bracket. And the whole goal of this question is that we gotta check if these are being closed properly in the correct order. As you can see in our examples, we have this opening parentheses and this closing parentheses here, right? So as you can see, it's being opened and closed properly. So here we're gonna return true. Same thing for our second example. As you can see, this opening parenthesis is gonna get closed by this one in the correct order, and this opening bracket gets closed by this one, and this opening curly braces gets closed by this one. And we're gonna return true. But in our third example, this opening parenthesis is being closed by this closing bracket. And as you can see, this is incorrect and we're gonna return false. Now we're gonna solve this together, and don't worry, I'll visualize all of the algorithms so I make sure you fully understand how to solve this problem once and for all. So let's say we were given this string and we gotta check if this is correct or not, meaning if this is being closed, if this opening parenthesis here is being closed properly by this one or not. As you can see, we're using the word closed a lot, because if you think about it, the closing part, as you can see, the closing parenthesis, the closing bracket, the closing curly braces is what actually determines if we are on the right path or not. Because if we have these openings, if we're closing these correctly, that means our string is correct. So every time the opening symbols should come first and then we're gonna close them. As you can see here, if the closing symbol comes first, no matter what we do, we can't make this right. Even if I have this here, we're gonna take care of this curly braces here, but this one is still alone. Like, there's nothing we can do to make this correct. The only thing we can do to make this correct is that if we have its opening in the beginning. So if the closing symbol comes first, we will always return false. Now, just like you saw, the closing symbols are really important to us because we can actually work with them to actually come up with an algorithm. But our algorithm has to know when we see a closing bracket, this is its opening pair. So we gotta know which one of these symbols go with each other. For doing this, we can have an object or a table, whatever you wanna call it. And we can actually say, if you see this closing parenthesis or this closing bracket or this closing curly braces, these are their opening symbols. So this way our code knows which one of these go together. So we're gonna need this simple object in our algorithm, and believe it or not, we only need one more simple thing to solve this problem, and that's a stack. It's basically an array, but we're gonna call it a stack, and we're gonna push stuff into it and we're gonna pop stuff from it. So let's add these two to our algorithm. As you can see, we've added a mapping object, and this is literally this in the code version. And we need a stack, so we've actually defined an array and we've called it a stack. I'll visualize every step of our algorithm, but for the structure, we're gonna need a loop. And inside of this loop, we're gonna have an if statement, and we're gonna say if current character is a closing symbol. So as you can see, we're looping through our string that was given to us here. And each time we're gonna have a current character because we're gonna be looping through these characters here, and we're gonna be like, if our current character is a closing character, do the following. We're gonna define a variable called top value, and this top value is gonna be equal to the last element in our stack because we're gonna pop from our stack, and when we have a stack, we're gonna pop from the last element. So top value is equal to the last thing in our stack. Now, why do we need this top value here? Well, you see, our current character is a closing symbol. That's why we're inside of this if statement. So we want to check if our current character, which is a closing symbol, is closing its opening symbol or not. So we're actually checking our string with this top value to see if we've encountered the opening version of our current character. Now, if some things are still a little bit foggy, don't worry, because I'll visualize the whole algorithm, and that's gonna take care of everything that you might not fully understand just yet. So in the ideal situation, our top value is gonna be the opening symbol of our current character because our current character is the closing symbol. That's why we are inside of this if statement. So in the ideal situation, our top value should be its opening form. So let's check that. We're gonna say, is our top value not equal to the actual opening symbol? Because our current character is a closing symbol, and we have this mapping here. So we're gonna be like, give the closing symbol to our map and get its opening symbol. So for example, if this is a closing parenthesis, we're gonna get its opening form, and we're gonna be like, is what we have in our top value not equal to what it actually should be? If that's the case, return false. And if our current character is not a closing symbol, meaning it's an opening symbol, we're gonna fall inside of this else that's corresponding to our first if, and we're gonna say, push our current character to our stack. So simply put, if our current character is a closing symbol, do this here. And if our current character is an opening symbol, add it to stack. And then at the end, outside of our loop, we're gonna say if our stack is empty, return true. Now let's visualize everything. So let's say we have this string here and we're gonna apply this algorithm to it. So we're gonna define these two and we're gonna enter our loop, and inside of our loop, we're gonna be looping through our characters here. So our first character is this opening parenthesis. We're gonna check if our current character is a closing symbol. It's not. Well, in that case, just add it to our stack. So let's do that. As you can see, our current character was added to our stack. Now we're gonna move on to the next round. In our next round, which is our second round of the loop, we have this closing parenthesis. And we're gonna check if our current character, which is this closing parenthesis, is a closing character. It is. Well, we're gonna get inside of our if statement and we're gonna say pop from the stack. So if we pop from the stack, our top value is gonna be equal to this value here. So let's do that. Now our top value is an opening parenthesis. And then we're gonna say, is our top value, which is an opening parenthesis, not equal to mapping of current character? As you can see, our top value, which is an opening parenthesis, is it not equal to mapping of this closing parenthesis? Well, the mapping of closing parenthesis is gonna return this opening. So are these two not equal? As you can see, they are equal, meaning we actually have the correct pair. So we're gonna be like, all right, awesome. Let's move to the next round. And in our next round, we're gonna have this opening bracket and we're gonna be like, is our current character a closing character? Nope. Alrighty, add it to our stack, like so. And then we're gonna move on to the next round. In our next round, we're gonna have a closing symbol. And because it's a closing character, we're gonna enter our if statement. And inside of here, we're gonna define our top value. And our top value is equal to the last element in our stack. So let's pop it. As you can see, now our top value is equal to an opening bracket. So we're gonna say, is our top value not equal to mapping of current character? So this means, is our opening bracket not equal to opening bracket? As you can see, they are equal. So we're gonna be like, awesome. Let's move on to the next one. Again, we have an opening bracket. We're in the fifth round of our for loop. We're gonna be like, is our current character a closing character? Nope. Alrighty, add it to our stack, like so. And then we're gonna move to round 6. And our current character is gonna be this closing curly braces. So we're gonna check, is it a closing character? It is. Alrighty. Get our top value, and we're gonna get that by popping from our stack. So let's get it. Now our top value is an opening bracket, and we're gonna be like, is our top value not equal to mapping of current character? So is opening bracket not equal to a closing curly braces? It's actually not equal, so we're gonna return false. And this is our answer. Now let's code this in the simplest way possible. Alrighty, let's first define our mapping just like we saw in the slides, and we're gonna say our mapping is equal to an object, and we're gonna say here, if we have this closing parenthesis, this is its opening form. And same thing for brackets. If this is our closing bracket, this is its opening version, like so. And same thing for curly braces. This is its closing, and this is its opening. Now, guess what we need below this? We're gonna need our stack, just like we saw in the slides. And then below it, we're gonna define our for loop, and we're gonna say for let I being equal to 0, we wanna keep on looping as long as I is smaller than s.length, and we wanna keep on incrementing I on each round. And then we're gonna enter our for loop, and here we're gonna say our current character is gonna be equal to s of I. This is gonna give us our current character, and then below it, we're gonna have our if statement, and we're gonna say if current character, like so, in mapping, meaning if our current character is a closing symbol, because as you can see, the keys in our mapping object are all closing symbols. So here we're saying if our current character is a closing symbol, do the following. So first of all, we're gonna need our top value. So let top value be equal to stack.pop. Then below we're gonna say if top value is not equal to mapping of current character, return false. As simple as that. And if our current character here is not a closing character, we're gonna fall inside of this else statement here, and we're gonna add it to our stack. So we're gonna say stack.push current character, like so. And then at the end, we wanna know if our stack is empty. If our stack is empty, That means we've actually looped through everything. And all of the pairs were correct, meaning each opening symbol was closed by the correct closing symbol. So if our stack is empty, that means everything went perfectly. So you gotta say, if stack is empty, return true, and if not, return false. We can actually say return stack.length equaling 0. So if the length of our stack is equal to 0, return true, because the answer of this is gonna be true. And if the length is not equal to 0, this is gonna return false, because this statement is gonna be false and it's gonna be returned by this. Now let me zoom out. This is all of our code. Let's run it and see if we're gonna pass our tests. Yep, as you can see, all 3 of them are passed. Now let's submit it and see if we're gonna pass it. Moment of truth. Yep, and we're beating 84% of all of the other submissions. That's awesome. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and keep on coding.